It's Friday night, which means it's time for another episode of the Friday Night Nicktoons podcast. I'm Casey.
And I'm Ashli. Last time we talked about my life as a teenage robot, specifically the episode Victim of Fashion, thanks to Cam's recommendation.
We also put out our weekly Twitter poll asking you guys whether you prefer fashion or function. 78% of you said function, while 22% said fashion.
This week we're talking about Rocket Power's Capture the Flag episode because of Casey's beautiful decision to watch this one. He's pretty pumped about it, as he should be.
I'm so excited, guys. I have loved this episode for years, and we'll get into it. I was nervous about whether it would hold up, but spoiler alert, it does. Follow us on Twitter at FNN_podcast. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/FNN podcast. Review us on iTunes so others can find the show, and go participate in, subscribe to, and watch the podcast on YouTube if that's how you prefer to hear us.
And with all of that said, thanks so much for tuning in, and now let's get started.
From the Nicktoon Animation Studio in Hollywood.
Alright, and once again, our episode for this week is from Rocket Power. It's called Capture the Flag, and it's from Season 2, Episode 17A. This one aired on April 5th, 2001, which is actually 2 days before my youngest brother was born, so that's kind of interesting.
Wild stuff. And in this one, after a tie during a game of it at school, the kids decide to play Capture the Flag on the pier, the entirety of it. It's a giant, wide battle of Capture the Flag, and it is so good.
It's intense. And the first thing that struck me about this episode was the minor characters, who we don't see a ton unless they're at school. We got Sherry, the blonde one, who looks kind of like Naz from Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Do you remember that? Do you remember her?
Oh, yeah.
That show?
Yeah,
and then
I can see that.
The creepy mask dude who always wears a cape. I forget his name.
There's
and then,
the nerdy boy,
yeah,
Oliver.
His name, yeah, Oliver. The nervous, nerdy one. And then we've got our usual Rocket gang, of course.
Yeah, and, they're all split out onto the different teams, and of course, Reg and Otto got to be on opposing ones, because, the rivalry never ends.
Right. And Otto has this great line where they're like, we have to play Capture the Flag, and everyone's freaking out because it's like they can't use the field because there's a practice or something. I forget the details, but Otto says, who says we need this field when we have all of Ocean Shores? Which I thought was really exciting and very sort of kid thinking. That's sort of outside the box. Like, why don't we just use the town?
It gets so exciting so quickly, too. They start getting all the rules out, and there's a couple of good moments in there, too. If you're tagged, you have to freeze for 10 seconds. Real Mississippi seconds. It's just, like, all of that.
Such a thing.
So nostalgic, just those little details, like, no cheating, no doing this or that, like, setting out the ground rules. You know that it's going down.
Yeah, this episode really did exactly what I hoped to in regards to igniting my sense of childhood wonder. Like, that's a huge part of why we do this podcast, and not only was the nostalgia of the episode a lot, but nostalgia of, like, playing these games. Like, I wish I could just get a group together and go play a game like this in Central Park. Like, I suppose I could. Maybe I will.
Honestly?
Why not?
If you do, I will fly all the way out there just to be a part of this game.
Oh, that's what'll get you back out here. Good to know.
Yeah, it's not like, I've just had piles of time or anything just to go wherever I want.
Are we doing this now? Are we doing this on the pod?
Always. But of course, first there's Twister, who's like, I don't remember exactly what he suggests they do, but they're like, oh, he says, let's bury it at the beach. That's what it is. And Reg is like, no, Twister, that's against the rules. And he's like, can't we bend the rules? And their team's about to go for terrible things, but instead, Reg is like, nope, we're going to stick to them. We're going to stick to the way things are. You have to put the flag down, and once it's down, you can't move it. All these things, and So we got one of those classic sort of conundrums, right? There's the team that's following the rules, and there's the team that is very much not.
Yeah. And Reg is very often the sort of moral authority of the group. She's got the best head on her shoulders. She's not infallible. We've seen her do sketchy things, but she has a good head on her shoulders. And I spent this whole episode, because I couldn't remember the ending, rooting for her to win through the power of good. And Otto keeps playing all these tricks. However, if I had been Reggie there, I would have told Twister, that's a great idea. Let's just have it be partially showing and like cover it up with some shells or something. Like, as long as it's still visible, you're good. That's what I remember of the game, at least.
Yeah, I think it depends how specific you want to get. But I feel like putting it on the beach in general is a little cheap. Like, what if Shore gets in too much and, you know, somebody runs over it or something? Like, I think it has to be in a place where it's not going to get messed with.
Right. Okay. That's fair. I'll buy that.
But regardless, yeah, we have Reg sort of going for the good, and immediately it's mostly Otto is the one encouraging it, but everyone else is totally down. Because he's like, we're going to make a decoy flag, which is apparently also blatantly against the rules.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's terrible.
And, which I was wondering too, like, how would they even know, like, how would he prove that that's not the right flag? There's something off about it, right?
Yeah, that's a little convenient.
Because totally. I was wondering, like, well, if they get the decoy flag and they bring it back and then he's like, oh, that's a decoy flag, then wouldn't they just be like, well, you can't do that?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know.
It doesn't happen.
We have this great moment where Otto, you know, just goes with the decoy flag, and the mask kid goes, you have come to the power of the dark side, in this ominous voice. And then he takes off the mask and goes, nice one, with like a cheery thumbs up. I thought that was delightful.
Oh, I love weird little mask kid. He has a name, I'm sure, but...
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. Eddie.
Eddie?
Eddie. His name is Eddie
okay.
Valentine, also known as Eddie, Prince of the Netherworld.
Beautiful. Ugh, what a guy. And
it's a goalie mask that he's wearing.
Yeah, we do get a little bit of, what's his name? Oh my god.
Elliot? Is that it?
No.
Oliver.
No, the squid.
Sam. Squid. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just blanking.
Yeah.
We do get a little bit of him being like, that's not really, isn't that against the rules, as you'd expect him to be, but he's on Otto's team, and he kind of, you know, he speaks up a little, but he's never the most assertive of characters, so
right.
He doesn't really stop it.
The primary conflict of this episode is probably Otto versus Twister, even though Otto versus Reg is clearly there as well. It's like they're both trying to kind of outsmart each other, both are willing to play dirty, but Otto's just better at it. And that's why I think Otto's a good protagonist of this show, is he has so much potential for good. He's a smart kid, but he's very corruptible, and there's something relatable about that. For sure. Yeah, we get a lot of little things, right? Like, he only counts to 7 instead of all 10 Mississippi seconds. You know, like, the little things where, you know, how is he going to get caught? And this poor kid Oliver is so scared the whole time. He's talking about Sherry. He's like, did you see her triceps?
To be fair, she's pretty intense.
Girl. Yeah, Sherry's great.
More or less, they just keep playing the game right.
Yeah, I love that it's not more complicated than that. This episode is just they play capture the flag and have some moral dilemmas, and that's all it needs.
And it's beautiful. After a while, we see Otto blatantly moving his actual flag, bringing it on the Ferris wheel with him so that Twister can't catch it. Whatever it all is.
Blatant disregard for the rules.
Oh, I mean, just all over the place. And then they go to, him and Twister both end up at the shack, which is the neutral territory, right? It's agreed
which is also such a real thing.
Yes. And Twister's like, not Twister, sorry, Otto was like, you know, I'm getting pretty tired of this game. How about you tell me where your flag is, I'll tell you where mine is, and we can just end this game. Which, to be fair, come on, Twister, you're better than this. Yeah. Or maybe he's just not.
Clearly not, but and going back just a second, I thought it was really funny when Otto dresses up in a trench coat to try to sneak in to enemy territory, but he still gets tagged. So he's tried every route, and he ends up going for deception with Twister.
Yeah, because, the trench coat does not work very well. Sherry sees right through it, but the deception, he finds out, he's like, oh, we put it, wherever it is, in the skate park, and on this exact ramp or whatever it is, and it's looking like he's just gonna run, he's gonna grab the flag, and that's gonna be the end of it.
Yeah, and Twister is like, wait, you forgot to tell me where yours is, and Tito and Raymundo are right there, and they're like, you just got played, Twister.
Yeah. Which, again, come on, man. Come on.
It was terrible of Otto, but that's kind of on Twister. Like, he's so gullible.
Yeah, a little bit there. And so, he runs off, he's gonna go get it, and at first Reg is like, you told him where our flag is, and she's upset, and then she's like, that's so lame, like, he doesn't want to play by the rules, he doesn't want to, he's trying to trick us, and she has this brilliant little look on her face, starts whispering her new game plan, and you don't know exactly what's up, but you know this brilliant girl has got some wheels turning. I love her. I really do. Reg is so good.
She's great, and this plan is honestly brilliant.
Yeah, it's just so good. So there's like a line, you have to cross the line with the other person's flag, right? As it goes down. And she's holding on to, so they have like a purple flag that they're trying to get. She's just holding on to this purple piece of fabric that kind of looks like it's the flag the way that she's holding it. And Otto runs in and is visibly upset. He's like, how could you have found it? I never thought you would go back to the place of the original decoy flag.
Yeah. And it was smart on Reggie's part to make it look like they had already crossed the line and gone back. She's not over the line yet, but everyone's relaxed. There's an air of, the game is over, we won. And it's played so well.
Yeah, and she does a very good job of not ever actually saying, we already won the game, right? Not actually...
She never mentions the flag explicitly.
She never says, like, I got your flag, I won the game.
And to be fair, Otto's plan was smart, too. He ended up putting the real flag where the decoy was. That's a great idea. But he says that, and Reg picks it up over the walkie-talkie.
Twister runs for it.
Exactly.
Which also, I felt good that Twister gets, like, his little redeeming moment in here, because he kind of blows it, right? He gives away where their flag is, but he has this moment to go, run, catch the flag, and it's so good. And then, while Otto's getting all upset about how they beat him, Twister just runs with it over the line, and it is so satisfying.
It's great. It's so great. Like, none of this matters, but I'm so invested. And also, I think my favorite thing about this whole episode is at least twice, maybe 3 times, the gang unironically cheers, "It's our birthday, it's our birthday," which is one of the most 90s things ever. Like, I'm not one of those only 90s kids, but, like, that was such a thing then. And the fact that there's no irony, no self-awareness to it, it's just, I don't get it. Like, what? It's not your birthday.
Yeah, I never fully understood why that was a thing, I guess, but it was a huge thing, right? And it's so good.
It's like, as if,
And you can tell, and I do like, too, that Otto gets all like, he's like, what? But you cheated, you had your flag, and she's like, one, we didn't cheat, you were the one who did, I was just holding on to this sweatshirt, you're the one who decided that I must have won. Like, it's so good.
Otto just gets played on like, he shouldn't feel that proud of playing Twister because he's so manipulable, whatever that word is, but Reg just owns him.
Yeah, and you gotta love it. You just do. She totally deserves to win this one, and it's done so well. It's such a clean win. She doesn't break any rules. She just gets it. It's great.
Yeah, it's a really, really good episode. And if you didn't watch this one, I think really take the time to, because it's just a great sort of blast from the past. And I don't know if it was watching all of As Told by Ginger or what, but I've come to really love the Klasky Chupo style of animation. Like, even if it's not, like, technically the most realistic or, like, traditionally artistic, whatever, there's just, it makes me feel good. Like, it takes me back to those old Rugrats, you know, where they're all just kind of squiggly lines.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that, and this episode is just rocket power at its finest. I ate it up. I don't think I have anything else to add. Do you?
My one last thing, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, I'll get to how this is relevant, is probably my least favorite of the Pokemon generations, but they had a mini game where you could go into this, like, underground area and play Capture the Flag over wireless play, and I was obsessed with it. It was so thrilling to, like, you would see whoever you were playing against getting close to your flag, but they didn't know where it was, and they'd have to find it in, like, the wall or whatever, and it was so thrilling in a way where you get that, like, that, not to TMI, but that, like, nervous hide-and-seek pee. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's, like, you didn't think you had to go to the bathroom, but then you find your hiding spot, and you get so excited. That's what this episode did. For me.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, Casey. All of the details
Not literally,
of that were...
but just the, like,
yes,
that
I
sensation.
know. Casey...
You get it. Don't act like you don't get it.
Oh my goodness. No, I do. And it's... It pretty much is exactly what this episode is. And I'll second Casey's. I would definitely recommend give this one a watch. It's a quick, 12 minutes or so. Well worth your time.
Yeah,
but with
and
that,
I will say this one might... Last thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm going to predict that this one will make a list at the end of the year. I don't know what kind of lists we'll be doing, but I imagine this will be one of my favorite episodes of the entire year.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty big statement sitting here in January, but...
It's true, but we've got Nick Madness coming up, and that'll take some time.
That is true. I do wonder, though, given our one episode a week format, if we're really going to get into, like, the gold of the shows, you know what I mean? So maybe it's going to be more competitive for those end of the year spots.
That's true. Fewer episodes, but better episodes, at least so far, I think. So
I definitely agree.
Well, that'll be interesting. I hadn't thought about how that dynamic will change.
Yeah, we've got plenty of time before then, but
yeah,
I'm so glad we're sticking around for what looks like at least another year, guys. So yeah, but we'll see. I'm hoping I'll remember this so I can call Casey on it if it's not on his list.
Well, hopefully I'll just be randomly listening to FNN Podcast 81 in December when we're on like 130 or whatever.
Who knows?
Good stuff. But I'm finally ready to put this episode to rest, although I don't want to. I'm good to move on.
All right, let's do it.
All right, our Twitter poll is in that sort of thread of childhood wonder and games. Which would you rather play in Ocean Shores with the Rocket Gang? Capture the Flag, as in this episode, Ghost in the Graveyard, or Paintball? All are classic, exciting childhood games.
And all of them kind of have that wide open area for you to really explore in, which I think is a big part of what would be exciting about playing in Ocean Shores.
Yeah.
So,
and all of those games are potentially friendship ruining too, so that's another added element.
For sure. Next week, we are going to go back to Rocco's again. Per our New Year's resolution, we really want to dig into this show, and we are going to be looking at the episode Fortune Cookie. It's a good one. Get ready, you guys.
We're pumped and glad to get back to our New Year's resolution. This will be our second Rocco's episode of the year already, so I'm liking it a lot. All right, guys, quick social media blast. Remember, we have a Twitter, we have a Facebook, we have a YouTube, and you're probably listening to us on Apple Podcasts, in which case, just click those 5 stars. It's so easy. Just do it. End of segment.
Thanks, as always, you guys, for listening, and we'll see you next week.